Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode is kind of an episode that I was sort of planning to make, but just sort of came across, and then now I've actually got the data to sort of to support it. But it was sort of like I knew that certain trends were happening in anime, but I just didn't know when and where to place them and how to group them. So now I finally got one that sort of defines that, and basically I'm going to all this episode, what the hell happened in 1985? So I've already done an episode where I did the going through the my anime list of 1985, but then when I've actually started to compile the data and actually start building a chart, I realized that some significant changes and some significant stuff had happened starting in 1985, and so this episode I'm going to spend a little more time and look at that in greater detail. Just to see the bigger picture of what happened in 1985 and how it relates to all the other years around it. Okay, so before again, I've got to remind everyone to go down below, click like and click subscribe, and of course the new YouTube thing you have to do is now click notifications on, so that when I put new episodes out, you'll know when I put them out. And of course, YouTube doesn't recommend any of my videos, so also don't forget to go down below. I've started to reformat my spreadsheet of all the episodes of the History of Fan Anime, so that now if you like particular episodes about for example different animes through different years, they're all going to be grouped together. I've got fairly good detailed summaries of various different parts of the episodes, and then of course that's for my own reference, so that, let's say for example, I do an article on doujinshis about Pokemon, for example, I'll be able to type in keywords like Pokemon, doujinshi, and that kind of stuff, and it'll immediately pick out the episode in question that I need to make reference to, because I said now that I'm starting to build up a database of episodes, whenever I need to refer to something, I can now tell you guys to go check out my previous episode about a particular topic, and then I can give you the link. I can give you the thing to go back to that episode and look at how it's done. For example, maybe I might say an example of how we did fan subbing in a very manual and analog way. I can go back and point to the episode where we did Red Riding with Chow, and you can go back and take a look at how time consuming and how really imprecise the methods that we use to do fan subbing. Okay, so let's begin with what in the heck happened in 1985. Okay, so what I've basically done here is basically, when I made those episodes where I was going through the My Anime list and basically going through each season and basically breaking down the TV shows, the OVAs, and the movies that were most significant to us in North America here, and things that appeared on our radar. Basically, I took those ones and basically put it all into those episodes. So now what I've done is I've made now a spreadsheet which basically summarizes all those episodes and TV shows and OVAs sort of all together into a spreadsheet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that spreadsheet and I'm going to basically go through it, then look at the titles, see what kind of trends and kind of what all the titles are, and also I'm going to graph it so that I can see how many of these shows are there and how they became more and more significant. Because obviously when they obviously we know that we have so many anime titles that come out that are new every year, so that sometimes it's very hard even to keep up to it. But obviously when we first began, there weren't that many. So when did that sort of shift over? Okay, at the same time I also want to see, okay, well right now we're in the big isekai thing. Every anime seems to be about isekais, but we also had a lot of harem animes, and we also had a lot of epic space battle animes, and we had I'm sure we had a lot of magical girl shows and all that kind of stuff. So when did that all happen, and when was that sort of trend going on, and things like that. So by doing this database structure, not only that you people can see what I've suggested, that kind of stuff, just from watching the episodes that I put out, but now I'm gonna sort of I can summarize it in a more condensed form and see what's going on here. So that's what I've got on the screen right now. As you can see, I have a list of all the different TV shows that I have listed, all the different OVAs and different movies. They're all broken down by each particular season. But what's very important is that not only did I list the names of them, but I've also now counted up how many TV shows, how many movies, how many OVAs came out in each particular season, and now also counted up and totalized them so that I now can see how many came out in that entire year. And now what I've done is, of course, I've built a graph, which graphs out, first of all, how many significant animes came out in any particular year, and also what the breakdown of those animes are. So you can see how many of them were TV shows, how many of them were OVAs, and how many of them were movies. And and that's what we're going to basically sort of go through. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on this this last little part here, the summarization, because obviously you can go through my past episodes where I went through my anime channels to find actually what the titles are. So I don't need to really show you that part. But here I've taken the summary of each of the seasons. So what I've done here is I've taken the individual years and the seasons, broke down how many TV shows, how many OVAs, and how many movies came out in any particular season. Okay, and I've color-coded them so you can see the difference between all the different years/seasons. And I've also totalized them so that you can see how many total anime TV shows, OVAs, and movies came out in any particular year. Okay, so that you can see, for example, 1981. We had primarily a year of lots of TV episodes. Not too many OVAs. There's only like 2 OVAs that came out in there, and then basically 5 movies that came out in 1981 altogether. All right, and then you can see that as you go down the list, more and more different animes and TV shows, and for that matter, OVAs all sort of came out. But one thing that you'll see is when I take all this information and I put it onto a graph. Okay, so I'll show you the graph here. Okay, so here's the graph that I was referring to. Now, what I've done is basically on the bottom. You see the different years, okay, labeled 1981, 82, 83, 84, 85, okay, and all the different shows and stuff that come out in a particular year. So the blue ones are the TV series that came out in any particular year. The red colored ones are the number of OVAs that come out in a particular year, and the green ones are the particular movies that come out in a particular year. And so you can see that 1981, 82, 83, 84, they're about the same, okay? Around 20 different sort of anime/movies came out in that particular year. Predominantly TV shows and movies, are the mainstay of what comes out in any particular year, okay? But all of a sudden, 1985 hits, and all of a sudden, boom! From 20 different animes, we go up all the way up to 45. So all easily doubled the number of significant anime titles came out. Okay, so sudden jump from the just from even the year before. Okay, when they had about just a little touch over 20 different sort of animes that are significant. Okay, and we're talking significant animes. We're not talking about every single anime that came out in 1984, but just significant titles that have some sort of notability, notoriety in the North American culture genre. Okay, that occurred in 1984, as compared to what happened in 1985, and all of a sudden there's this boom, big jump, as you can see, doubled the number of titles, and you can see most of that is in the red section, which is OVAs. So what this indicates to me is basically that all of a sudden, what in the previous years, you can see 1981, 82, 83, 84, OVAs were pretty kind of insignificant, right? The big push has always been on the TV show, you know, those long series that try to, keep you in, rope you in, and keep you interested, coming back every week after week after week, to come and watch those episodes, and of course, hopefully, again, buy the merchandise and all that other stuff that usually comes associated with watching TV shows like that. Okay, and then of course, movies, again, not, pretty even all the way across. Even heck, in 1985, the number of movies is pretty even. With again number of TV shows, but the really big difference is look at the number of OVAs that which are colored in red. Really huge steep spike. Okay, so what we can tell is basically what obviously is going on here is that the anime companies have realized, hey, this OVA thing, this short form anime, is pretty popular. Maybe we should start releasing a lot more of these different really short shows. To make some quick bucks on the show, while at the same time, we can still continue releasing those big long TV shows and that kind of stuff when we have lots of source material, mangas and that kind of stuff. Of course, obviously, they can keep doing that, right? So let's look in detail a little bit more about what exactly are the type of shows that we're watching, and what sort of shifted, what sort of changed when we actually look at these titles that came out, between basically 1984 and basically going into 1985. What really sort of changed? And again, I'm gonna sort of touch over this episode when we get hit, 1989, 1990, and we get another sort of 5 years worth of anime out, and let's see what this chart sort of looks like then, and then let's reanalyze it again. So let's just concentrate up between 1981 to 1985. What has happened? Okay, what are the animes that we are given, and what sort of trends do we see the industry sort of doing at this time? So let's have a quicker look at the titles now. Close up of the titles here. So now I'm looking at 1981 and 82 here. And let's sort of go over the titles really quickly. Again, you can see these when in my previous episode, but let's just quickly go through them. So things like Ashton or Joe, Galaxy Express 3 to 9, Astro Boy says Isa Yamato. Okay, fine, all right. Doctor Slump, Good Clean, Ghost Gut, usually 301 God Mars. Okay, so just quickly look at that. We got a bunch of Leiji Matsumoto. You got the Yamato, which is their space show. Millennia Queen, Captain Harlock, that kind of lineage of show there. Go Shogun and the Ulysses 31 in God Mars. Of course, there are in that sort of robot sort of team kind of show. And you research that, right? So, Muruka Takahashi, very, very long type series, okay? So, alright, so a little mixture of those type of things. We quickly flip ahead to there. So, Gundam Galaxy Express, Gundam 2, Ashton, the Ashton Joe movie, so the boxing show, and Baldios, which is again, giant robot fighting, interplanetary sort of show. So a lot of sci-fi, right? A lot of outer space things. I mean, again, the Galaxy Express 999 with the train going in space, and Millennia Queen, of course, in the same universe as that. Yamato, battleship going into space, and robot shows. So again, a lot of sci-fi, a lot of space shows. Okay, so that's sort of like the the big thing. Gundam, of course. The summary of the Gundam movies. Again, the epic, giant robots in fighting for the the sovereignty of Earth. Okay, so so we can see, you can see we get a lot of those type of shows. Okay, so scrolling down a little bit more, 1982. Okay, so 1982. Quickly goes through here. Goes to the Miki Momo, Acro Bunch. All right, so Magical Girl Show. Basically a big giant robot show again. Techno Voyager, same thing. Back Singer, same thing. We got Galaxy Express 999 Pilot, so more something like that. Millennia Queen movie, Gosha Gun movie, Gundam third movie. Okay, and of course, big main significant things. My Youth in Arcadia, so same thing as Millennia Queen. Space Cobra. Okay, so that's the first sort of space sort of 300 type of show. Ideon. Okay, so again, more of that Gosha Gun, Back Singer, Techno Voyager, Techno Police. That's the first entry as a police, futuristic police show. The end of 1982 is, of course, very significant. Macross TV series, Space Cobra, some more of that. Captain Harlock SSX. So again, lots of Captain Harlock, the Leiji Matsumoto universe kind of stuff, and of course in that same track, the more of the Yamato type of stuff. So again, that kind of thing is more pretty predominant. Future Wars 1980X, which is kind of an outlier, but that's another sort of good movie there. And God Mars the movie. So again, more of that movie for the TV series. So again, by seeing this, they've added more shows, which are essentially robot sci-fi, of course, more giant robots, fighting some sort of war, okay, between planetaries or between different factions. We're getting, more of these as a prolific series, very Gundam-like. So I guess you can say, they're following that formula that, or the success that Sunrise has had, with Gundam, to basically, put out these sort of giant robot type shows. Again, part of this promotion, the idea is to promote and sell the toys. Gundam models were a big thing, so we want to try to put out shows that have merchandise that they can sell, that they can make and release, right? So putting out more of these type of shows, God Mars, Ideon, Backsinger, even things like Techno Voyager, okay, like Macross, of course. Can you imagine all those, Valkyries and all those, all those, mechs that they had on the SDF-1, of course, all the Zentradi figures, all were able to sell stuff, right? So that's what you want to do. Ideon again, same, spacecrafts and mechs, same thing with Ghost Gun, of course, all these type of things, with their, idea behind this. So again, a lot of those type of shows happening, okay? Also, I think this is sort of where we started getting into these, conflict, in the world, okay? So not just like Gundam conflict, but like, Macross, for example, is sort of our latest introduction of like, the aliens coming to the Earth and doing something. I mean, of course, they had this concept, of course, with space battleship Yamato, right? Of course, the Gamelons coming and infecting the Earth and all that other stuff. So that's the continuation of that premise and that concept. But of course, now this is the a slightly different take on that, where the Earth is able to use some sort of technology, that was already sort of sent over, of course, by the Macross Masters or whatever, the original people that before that they built the Zentradi, okay, right? So again, so more of that kind of thing. So again, some new entries, of course, just the Techno Police, the Space Cobra. So now we're getting a slight shift, not very much, but a slight shift in a couple of shows that have to deal with policing, if you will, the vigilante going after hiring the gun from hire type of thing, the old city hunter, that kind of thing, the A team, basically people to hire to solve a solution or get to solve a problem. So that's sort of kind of sort of emerging there. But by far the most significant types of animes that are coming out are again sci-fi space shows, and the that includes of course the human conflict, of course, of the battle for Earth. Okay, so let's scroll down a little bit more. Okay, so 1983. Well, let's see. We have some more shows here. So we got Dunbine, Rashomon. We got the Ursa Setsuo movie, Crusher Joe, Armageddon, Yamato One, Bodoms. Okay, Cat's Eye, Creamy Mommy, Orgus, Time Slip. Let's see. We got Barefoot Gen, Paterio, Dugram the movie, 9. Captain Tsubasa, Delos, must be a Vifam. Okay, so again, right off the bat, Dunbine, Vodoms, Orgus, Vifam, Ospita, Delos, Dugram the movie. Again, all different shows, sci-fi based. Outlining the giant, robot mecha type of thing. Okay, Dunbine and Vifam, are definitely the Dugram and Delos, all in that sort of epic, Vodoms. All right, epically long sort of TV series focusing on the mecha, of course, and the machines. The conflict, of course, between different, warring factions. Okay, you can even throw in like Mosquito, for example, and Orgus in that sort of situation. But I want to throw those ones in the Earth is getting attacked by the aliens, and we have to find a way to fight them back. Okay, so again, it's sort of going off of that Star Blazers, Space Battleship Yamato type of theme. We have more of those type of movies or shows, right? So we got that kind of thing going on again. Ever since things like Macross, of course, and Mosquito, Orgus, all sort of showing up in here. In addition to all that, okay, the other sort of subclass genre of that is the giant robot type of show, but it's being used by the humans on Earth and whatnot, or whatever. Okay, because the Algheim is of the pentagramical world. Now we're getting into the epic war type of shows where they're using the machines to fight against each other. Okay, so that's where you get your Dunbines, your Dugrams. Okay, if you want, you can throw Vorums in that. Gundam, of course, you can throw that in there. All right, and so that's the second sort of big, grouping of different animes that are out there. Okay. So if you are a sci-fi fan of these great sort of big warring nations and that kind of stuff. So if you're a big fan of, let's say, Dune, for example, you're eating this up, right? This is your type of cup of tea, as it were. Okay. Now the other thing that that you can quickly kind of not always quickly spot, but you can see it. A lot of these, police, vigilante, gun for hire, that kind of show is starting to creep in. So you can see a Rashomon, of course, is the police that's the kind of in the future, that kind of from the past sort of thing. Crusher Joe, of course, the team that got hired to do a particular mission. Go 13, he's the professional sniper killer. And yeah, so that's sort of you can see that sort of like that genre of anime sort of comes up, subgenre, okay, come out there, where it's the Cat's Eye, of course, where the higher the gun for hire. So again, in the same sort of advent of things like the Equalizer, the A Team, shows like that are really the big thing going in here. And again, you can see that sort of reflected in a lot of the different shows that are going on, even here in North America, right? The other thing that's now you can sort of see that kind of is slipping in a little bit is some of the magical girl shows. I mean, obviously, Yura Sure is not exactly, you wouldn't consider Lum a magical girl, but she has some extraordinary powers, shall we say, because she's an alien. And then of course Creamy Mami, of course, in that sort of same sort of wind type of thing. You know, Other sort of similar things that sort of occurred, of course, is in addition to sports shows, like the Captain Tsubasa for soccer and National Joe for boxing, but Nine really really focuses on baseball, so that's one of those little love romance shows with baseballs, those kinds. So some significance to sports, but definitely not a really big section, okay? Because there's only so many sports that people really will follow here, well, both here and in Japan, of course. But again, since not a lot of animes are really made with, let's say, football in mind, or soccer, of course. Again, soccer's not really that big of a thing here. Obviously, baseball is a really big thing over there, but of course, no, not very many people follow the baseball types of things. Okay, so 1984. We can see right away there's Heavy Metal Elgime. Alright, it's a giant mega show. Wingman, Lupin the Third, the TV series. Southern Cross. Okay, another one of those Earth getting invaded type shows, of course. Giant Gorg, another giant robot show piloted by kids. Magical Persia, so another one of these magical girl shows. Hokuto no Ken, Prisoner Star. All right, good. Yeah, so nice long, apocalyptic Earth type of shows. Martial arts, I guess you can say. Yeah. Sherlock Hound. Okay, so based off of off of another type of series show type of thing. Like I guess you can say like Anne of Green Gables, for example, of this time would be that kind of a show. Bismarck, okay, so giant robot type of show. Lensman the TV, so another sci-fi. Mighty Orbots, again, giant robot coming together. Cream Mami OVA Vifam recaps, okay, so that's fine. Birth, of course, okay, that's an outlier. All right. Okay, so Nausicaa, so that's one of the Studio Ghibli type shows. All right. Urasura Atsura, Locked to Superman. All right, so that's your first of your psychic powered humans and that kind of stuff. Sherlock Hound, again, okay, based on that. Macross, Do You Remember Love, the movie. Again, more of the Earth getting invaded and the kind of things. The Lensman, of course, sci-fi type of show. So what does 1984 give us more? Okay, so again, of the large epic kind of TV show type shows, you come up with Elgime. Okay, so another sunrise sort of thing, where it's coming off the lineage of Gundam. Okay, so obviously they're not fighting for Earth. Obviously, this is in that 5-star pentagram world that theoretically things like 5-star stories, Elgime, Dunbine, all sort of cover, are supposedly in that universe. So that sort of series, again plays off of the Gundam sort of lineage. Again, Giant Gorg, I guess you can throw it in there too, because again it's the just like Giant Gorg / Vifam, kids and big mechs type of thing, right? Just like how Amuro got when it got into the the Gundam and started piloting that type of thing. Again, we have things like Southern Cross, which is again based off of the some aliens coming to get the to take over the Earth. Bismarck, I guess you can say, is kind of like that. Of course, they called it the Frontier, but same kind of idea, right? The people from the netherworld or whatever. Okay, Lensman, the TV series. I guess you can put that with Sherlock Holmes. Basically, they've taken a story novel series, and they basically said, okay, let's make an anime of it, type of thing, right? I mean, I guess at this sort of same time, things like Starship Troopers sort of came out. I remember, and and other sort of shows like that sort of occurred. So why not throw that kind of things in there? So you can see the branching out that's sort of going on here. Of course, the Macross movie, of course, that gives you that same sort of idea. So again, I guess the only really new entries that sort of came out is, of course, Hakuro no Ken, which is the first sort of TV series which is a little different than the most, which is apocalyptic Earth, the concept of martial arts and that kind of stuff all together. A longer series of progressing on, because obviously Ken had to go and basically meet and basically defeat his other brothers and that kind of stuff. So I guess this is the start of those type of series where it's a long adventure, drawn out type of thing. Lots of gaps between each of the episodes, right? So that's sort of maybe the start of that one. I guess we're gonna get more of them as time goes on, right? So let's look at 1985, and let's see that this time, we're going to take a look at what kind of shows are kind of up that came up with this time. But we're also going to look at, what sort of changes in theme, sort of come, starting to arise and start to, take shape. Okay. So again, 1985. We see Zeta Gundam, of course. So again, more conflict using giant robots. Touch, okay, so that's the sort of baseball love story type of thing. Dan Cougar, okay, so the Earth getting invaded again. Dirty Pair, so that's again hire making guns for hire, basically. Magical Emmy, so another one of these magical girl shows. Outliers again, sprinkled throughout there. Movies: Zero Suit Zero, Dagger Kumui. So again, Dagger Kumui is again very outlier, in the sense that this is sort of the very first sort of traditional Japanese story kind of thing, right? But maybe this is the beginning of those type of shows where people want to they want to make more animes about traditional, either a samurai flick, a ninja flick, or that kind of thing, right? Bobby's, okay, great. That's one of Love Romance is very forgettable. Way to Virgin Space, very forgettable. Legend of the Three Kingdoms, of course. That's past conflict. So maybe that's a thing, right? So maybe they're gonna make more of these type of based off of history, traditional type of stories, right? Goshigan, okay, so another sort of team of people type of thing with the giant robot. Delos, of course, again. Lupin the Third, so that's we can pair that up with like for example, the Dirty Pair and other sort of things like that. Odin of Starlight, okay, so I guess this is sort of like towards the tail end of things like the Yamato and Harlock and that kind of stuff. So the last sort of tail end of that, and Area 88, of course, the movie. All right, but the most significant thing is that, okay, so now all the things I've listed are all basically TV shows and movies. What the more thing that I should, and they don't seem too out of place, right? I mean, we got some more like things like a lot more mecha type shows. Goshigan, Delos, Zeta Gundam, okay, all big giant robot type shows. And then of course we got our extra edition of Dan Cougar, which is another one of these, again, Earth getting invaded by the aliens, and the only thing that seems to fight them back is this machine that the Japanese have made that will beat them back, right? Not too different from Macross, not really too different than Southern Cross, not really too different from Mospeada for that matter, right? So the same kind of idea. I guess not too different than Bismarck, right? So let's see what's really different from the OVAs, okay? So in 1985, there's this big, huge release of OVAs, and there's actually even more OVAs released in 1985 than, they say, TV shows and movies combined, right? You can even just see that there's just this strange, stream number of them. Well, I think even the majority, or well, more than half of them are actually OVAs. So here we got Megazone 23, Area 88, Yokaleda, Nora, Greed, Vifam, the August Memorial, Kirimami, Long Goodbye, OVA, Votems, Ursura Tsura, Cosmo Police Justy, Fandora, Minky Momo, Mospeada, Votems, and Vifam. Okay, so obviously we see there's a couple of duplicates, and there's a couple of different a lot of, like, shall we say, summary shows. Like, for example, we can see Vifam, Orgus, Votems, the Mospeada, Love Live and Live. Again, another Votems, another Vifam. So basically, I guess these people are realizing that, hey, a lot of these people aren't willing to stick it out on a lot of these large shows, okay, and maybe a shortened version, in an OVA format is the way to go. So that's where you got things like, the Vifam OVA, which is like, quick short clips. Orgus Memorial. I mean, even the word as worded is basically a shortened version, a memorialized version of Orgus. Okay, Mospeada, Love, Love and Life. It's the Yellow Dancer singing album. Okay, so it's just a musical album with the music and that kind of stuff from Mospeada, but obviously it has lots of fighting sequences all clipped together. So it's like sort of like your music video version of Mospeada. There's another Votems and a Vifam, summary sort of show, right? And even in that sort of concept, they have the OVAs for Area 88, but then they also have Area 88 the movie. So they've crunched all the 3 OVAs for Area 88 into a movie version. Okay, so they're just rebranding, releasing different kind of stuff here. So that's one way that they're kind of thing that they're doing. Okay, they're doing shorter recaps, shorter movie versions of things going on that are longer. Okay, so that's one thing that they're doing. So basically rehashing old material. But in terms of new stuff, okay, so we got Megazone 23, obviously, in Area 88. Okay, so it's sort of feature more, still more sci-fi type of stuff for the Megazone 23. Area 8, of course, is a series that uses fighter jets and that kind of stuff, which is always a really popular type of thing. Yokaleda is is your fantasy type. So this is one of the I guess a new entry, sort of fantasy, girl with the sword type of thing. Nora, again, it's a female, sort of more musical based, of course. Let's see, Creepy Mommy, of course, is a magical girl type of show. Syrup, okay, Lums, kind of thing. So notice that now we're getting into a lot more of these, magical girls, super powered girls, if you will. Where the girl is the main protagonist of the story. Okay, so again, here you see Miki Momo. And again, we already had things like Creamy Mommy and Magical Emmy and that kind of stuff that's just sort of sprinkled. Maybe 1 or 2 titles every sort of like little period of a year. But now here's a kind of a concentration of them a little bit. Okay, not only that we're getting into, like, again, you get the Fandora, which is a girl with the sword, girl with the sword. Yokaleda, girl with the sword. Minky Momo and Creamy Mommy. Okay, so those are magical girl type shows, right? So the so then we're not getting like we are with Sailor Moon, but you can see it, we're leading up there. Okay, this genre of magical girls slash super powered girls are starting to show up. Okay, and it's not because we want more equality or whatever for girls or anything, but it's just I guess that there's a sort of appeal for that kind of thing, right? But what else do we kind of see from this? Um, Again, although a lot of the titles are sci-fi based, but we also see more. Again, more of these police slash peacekeeper, guns for hire, teams to help out, justice or whatever whatever you call it. I mean, you said you can kind of think that Bismarck is kind of like that because they're supposed to be, the sheriffs, star sheriffs, if you will, so the police type of guys. Okay, Lupin the Third, of course. In that sort of sense, not exactly, but he's he's in his own way is a team like that. Cosmos Police Justy, of course, again is a strong indication of that. Dirty Pair TV series, of course, because the girls work at for the WWA, type of group there. Okay, and the very, very last little bit is the very last section of 1985. So maybe this is sort of a precursor to what we would expect in 1986. But here we go. So SPT Laser, Tobi Mikage, High School Kimigumi, and Gege no Taro. So obviously with things like SPT Laser, Tobi Mikage, again, giant robot shows. One, obviously, Tobi Mikage is more of the lineage for things like Gundam and Dunbine, Elgime. Okay, right? SPT Lacenar again is another one of these. Oh no, the Earth is getting invaded by another alien force, and so more of that. Okay, switching over to the movies. Vampire Hunter D, so another one of these large sort of, and again, even if you wanted to, you could probably even sort of group Vampire Hunter D as basically one of these. Was a novel kind of a story about Dracula and basically their kind of spin-off. So you can see that they're doing a bunch of these sort of shows, which is like, okay, let's base something off of a known thing, like a known novel series, whether it's Lensman or Sherlock Holmes or Starship Troopers or whatever, and let's make an anime version and let's put our own kind of spin to that, right? But we also have, as I said, there's still predominantly, large numbers of giant robot type, mecha type shows, epic sort of things, as well as, more the Earth is getting invaded by, alien type of shows. Okay. But again, let's look at the OVAs and let's see what kind of OVAs they came out. Okay, so we got Angel's Egg, Ixir 1, Dream Hunter Rem, Fire Tripper, the Dirty Pair OVAs, the Orange Road Jump Special, Rock Me Nora, and Bobby Stock. Okay, so again, I'm gonna file Ixir 1, Dream Hunter Rem, Fire Tripper, again in more of that sort of, I wouldn't say magical girl, but like, the main heroine, female lead is the main character of the type of show. Okay, so not necessarily the three G's per se of the word, but you can see what I mean. It's the first G, which is girls. Okay, is starting to form. They're realizing that, hey, one of the things that makes an OVA, short form anime, really sort of catch on, or maybe that little bit of a change, isn't maybe giant robots. Okay, isn't maybe Gundam, right, as it were. Maybe it's the G needs to be girls. Okay. And I wouldn't say necessarily things like Yoko Leda or Fandora. The next G is guns, but hey, a, a good weapon like a sword and that kind of stuff, or a magic ability like I mean, Rumiko Takahashi isn't usually a big thing on that, so that's why things like for example, her fire tripper in Urusura Tsura, because Rumiko Takahashi is really big at this time, doing that kind of thing, but still main leading female character, okay, and yeah, so and of course the Gore. If you think of things like Ixir One, that really again lack let's skip the guns for a second, but I mean one of the other elements that really makes something sell is the gore factor, right? And some scenes in Ixir One definitely has that. So again, you can kind of see that the parts of or forming of the three Gs are starting to occur, right? So if maybe the guns is not there, maybe some other sort of thing is there. Maybe if not, if not for guns, then maybe we stick in the gore. Maybe we can do all three and have girls, gun, and gore. But you can see that that's sort of forming, okay, as we add in titles like Mixer One, Rem, Fire Tripper. Okay, Dirty Pair, of course, is more of the hired hand type of shows again. Unlike, of course, some of the other shows, like for example, Nora. Well, I mean, Nora is a music video essentially, so that I'm gonna classify that as one of those shall we say rehashes. Okay. The only really other like I said, significant things again is things like Angel's Egg and Vampire D. Those are Amano type of things that sort of recently came out, which are really really nice. The other thing I sort of noticed is that a lot of shows or movies or that kind of stuff, they're being put out as feelers, some of them. For example, Orange Road, the Jump special, okay, that was released now. And this is sort of to kind of, I guess they made a pilot, okay, kind of a one episode shot thing. Let's see if this show is or this manga has any interest, right? So they released the Orange Road Jump special to see if anyone sort of really cares about Orange Road, or I think they did the same thing with Space Cobra. They made a little pilot sort of thing for Space Cobra. And then, hey, if it turns out okay, great. Then maybe we'll release more of it. Okay. Just sort of feely type of thing, right? So I think the Nalandi affair. Although it might have turned out to be one of those type of things for Dirty Pair, but it ended up being the TV series was already in production, so they released that as well, and the OVA ended up being the additional side story or that kind of stuff, because you can see the artwork between the TV series and the Nalandi affair OVAs were a little different, right? So that's one of those sort of extension type of things, which I guess is also sort of happening, where let's make a TV series, and then if there's something that's sort of different, or we want to take the OVAs and that kind of stuff in a different direction, then we can do it in an OVA, or maybe not necessarily a feature length movie, but we can do something different with it. Okay, so that's another sort of thing that they are starting to realize. We can still do both. We can still do a TV series, and we can still do an OVA / movie as additional kind of stuff. I said again, a lot of shows at this time have been using the OVAs and that kind of stuff as a rehash, if you will. Let's just make music videos of it. Let's just make the best of clips or best of thing, or let's make a summary or memorial box or episode thing of it, where they just chop it up and put it into little pieces, or let's just only put the best fighting scenes and that kind of stuff into an OVA, and let's just call it that, right? But so that basically covers what you can see in 95.5. So again, you can see last 5 years that we've seen here, the predominance is basically going to be giant robot shows. Okay. Again, with the aim of selling robot mechs and model kits and stuff like that, of course. Um, a lot of Earth getting invaded by stuff, and we have to use machines, robots, and that kind of stuff to fight them back, and win back the Earth, sort of thing, and beat them back, and regain our independence, shall we say, right, or freedom, shall we say. Um, a good number of shows, having to deal with, again, police, hired hands, hired guns, that kind of stuff. Vigilantes, that kind of stuff, if you will. Um, the incoming insurgence of, magical girl, like predominantly female character shows, OVAs, movies, where there is a main female character or superhero or whatever you want to call it, and that's the key to the series right there. And of course, just littered along, kind of as the runner-ups would be shows based off of already existing known stories. Okay, maybe English stories or novels. Just sprinkle those all there. Sprinkle a bunch of magical girl shows, kind of sprinkled in there, and a couple of shall we say those epic, not epic space shows, but like the classic space shows like Captain Harlock, Yamato, and that kind of stuff. Just sort of put those into the background as well. And that basically will summarize the types of shows that come out in 1985. So again, you can see there's no like harem animes, for example. That kind of genre hasn't been invented yet, or isekais. Okay, is not really a thing right now at this time. But as I said, when those come up, we will see that, and when these when that sort of trend or whatever that type of show becomes the predominant thing, then we'll see that as we go through and go through the titles, and we see the shift. But right now, if you're like if you are a Gundam fan, if you are that sort of Macross, Southern Cross, Mospeada, Dan Cougar, Earth getting invaded and we have to fight them back type of thing, Independence Day type of types of shows and that kind of whatnot. This is your time, right? Okay, so I hope you found that kind of interesting, and and you spotted the same things I spotted when going through this. And again, I'm going to go on to 1986 in the next little bit, so do stay tuned for that episode. And again, remember to go down below and click your notifications on to make sure that when I get that episode out, you'll be able to see that. And again, we're going to continue to progress on for more 86, 87, and whatnot. Because again, that's when I started getting into anime, really started getting into anime. I started buying anime books and stuff like that. So definitely, that's something you want to check out when you get that, okay? So, until next time, see you again.